Undersea Mystery Club, The Puzzling Paintings. Book 9. By Courtney Carbone. Illustrated by Melanie Demmer. Epic Originals. For my daring adventurers, Shayla and Colette. Stay curious. CBC. 7. When they arrived at the clubhouse, Violet and Wally were buzzing about all they had seen and heard that day.
10-minute brainstorm?
Wally asked, taking out their special hourglass.
Good idea,
Violet said.
Now, who might have a motive for committing the crime?
She asked, as Wally turned over the hourglass.
What's a motive again?
Wally asked.
It's a reason for doing something,
Violet explained.
For example, it could have been a student from a rival school who was mad that we beat them in a water hockey game. Oh, I understand,
said Wally.
Or maybe it was someone trying to create a distraction so they could do something much worse, like rob a bank,
Violet continued.
I guess there can be lots of different motives for the same crime,
Wally concluded.
Exactly,
Violet replied.
Maybe it was a bunch of aliens who want to take over the ocean,
Wally shouted excitedly. Violet laughed. Wally always suspected aliens.
Possibly,
she said as she wrote down their ideas. Wally and Violet had come up with lots of possible motives before the last grain of sand fell through the hourglass. Their 10 minutes were up, but they still hadn't solved the mystery.
We should study the clues next,
Violet said.
Let's take a look at the photos from the crime scenes.
Violet took the photos from her bag and spread them out on the seafloor in front of them. She tried to piece them together like a jigsaw puzzle.
Now what's the same and what's different?
She asked.
They are all different shapes and sizes,
Wally said.
But they are all the same color, and they all have the same little white circle at the bottom.
Violet and Wally stared at the photos. It was hard to focus, but Violet knew that the only way to solve this mystery was to calmly look at all of the evidence. Minutes ticked by.
At this rate, we'll be here until the sky is as dark as those black blobs,
Wally groaned. Violet knew they had to be back before dinner, and Wally had a good point. The black paint kind of resembled the night sky. She looked closer at the white circles in the corners. Suddenly, Violet remembered something.
I think I know who made the graffiti,
she exclaimed.
Who is it?
Wally asked.
Gil?
I don't think so, she replied.
And I don't want to say who I think it is until I'm sure. But I have an idea for how we can find out.
She gathered up her belongings.
We need to get to the planetarium. But first, I want to take a little detour past the sandboarding park.
When Violet and Wally got to the sandboarding park, they found a sign that read, "Closed for repaving."
Oh no,
Wally said.
Now we won't be able to test your idea.
Actually, it's just the opposite, Violet said.
This sign helps prove that Gil was telling the truth.
She pointed to some wheel tracks on the ground. The black tar looked just like what was on Gil's sandboard wheels. Wally nodded.
You're right,
he exclaimed.
But I'm still confused. If Gil didn't do it, then who did? Follow me,
Violet said. She swam as fast as she could, with Wally right on her tail. Soon they came to a large circular building with a sign that read, Aquamarina Planetarium.
"What are we doing here?" Wally asked. "Do you want to see a show about stars?"
Ollie told us he comes here every day to get inspiration for his artwork, Violet replied.
"Ollie?"
Wally asked as they turned the corner.
"You think our new classmate is the one making the graffiti?"
But Violet didn't have to answer, because when they turned the corner, they saw Ollie painting a big blob of black ink right on the planetarium wall.
"Ollie!"
Violet cried.
"So it is you who's been putting graffiti up all over town!"
8. Ollie waved happily to Violet and Wally.
"Did you come to see more of my murals?"
he asked. He pointed to the black ink on the wall in front of him.
"Murals?"
Violet asked.
"Ollie, what you've been doing is graffiti."
"Huh?" Ollie said.
"They're only murals if you have permission to create them,"
Violet explained.
"Otherwise, they're graffiti." "Uh-oh,"
Ollie said.
"I didn't know that. I was just trying to be creative and express myself, like all the great artists I learned about at camp. Being new here, I don't have many friends, and painting is something I can do alone. I didn't think I was hurting anybody." "Well, it did hurt somebody,"
Violet told him. "Everyone blamed our friend Gil, and now he's in big trouble with the police."
"That's terrible,"
Ollie said, hanging his head.
"But how did you even know it was me?"
"We figured it out with teamwork," Violet explained. "Wally pointed out that the paintings looked like the night sky, and I noticed that each painting had a small circle in the corner. At first I didn't put it together, but then I remembered your sketch pad. I knew you liked painting the solar system, and then I realized that the circles on the paintings weren't circles at all. They were O's."
"Oh, for Ollie,"
Wally repeated, finally understanding.
"Wow, you remembered all that?"
Ollie asked, surprised.
"I didn't think anyone paid attention to me."
"Of course we paid attention," Violet said. "But not in a good way, Ollie. Your actions caused a big commotion. You harmed a lot of public buildings. Worst of all, you got Gil in major trouble."
"I didn't mean for any of that to happen."
Ollie paused, thinking for a moment.
"I guess what I did was really serious. I have to figure out a way to make things right."
"Yes," said Violet, nodding.
"I'm going to go to the police station right now to tell the truth,"
Ollie said. He hesitated, then asked,
"Will you both come with me? You're the only friends I have here."
Violet and Wally agreed, and they all swam toward the police station. When they got there, Gil was sitting in a chair next to the front desk. His parents were talking to Chief Wilson. Violet knocked on the office door.
"Chief Wilson,"
she said,
"someone wants to talk to you about the graffiti."
Everyone turned and looked at Ollie. He took a deep breath and told them the whole story of what he had done. Chief Wilson apologized to Gil and let him go home with his parents, though not without a warning about sandboarding at the library. Then Chief Wilson called Wally's, Violet's, and Ollie's parents and asked all of them to come down to the station. In the end, Ollie apologized to the city leaders and to Gil for what he had done. He also agreed to clean up the graffiti right away and to do community service to help make the city more beautiful. Soon, everything was sorted out, and it was time for everyone to go home. 9. Over dinner, Violet told her mom all about her busy, exciting day. Her mother was proud of Violet for thinking outside the box, or, in this case, the blob. But something inside Violet still didn't feel right. She wanted to help Ollie feel at home in Aquamarina, so that he would love the city as much as she did.
Mom, can I talk to you about something that's bothering me?
Violet asked. Always, her mother said. You can tell me anything.
I know that Ollie made a mistake, but I wish he didn't feel so alone here,
Violet said.
You always tell me that making others feel at home in Aquamarina is very important.
Mayor Vespera smiled. She was proud of her daughter for many reasons, but especially for her kindness and concern for others. You're absolutely right, Violet, she said. Welcoming sea creatures from all places and backgrounds is a big part of what makes our community so special and strong.
So how can I help Ollie feel more welcome?
Violet asked. Do you have any ideas? Her mother asked. She liked when Violet found her own solutions. Said Violet. She thought about her conversations with Ollie. He had been so proud when he thought he was creating murals for the city to enjoy. That gave Violet an idea.
What if Ollie could get permission to paint a giant mural? Then he could be creative, and the whole city could benefit.
That's a wonderful idea, Violet, her mother said. As long as Ollie holds up his end of the deal, with the cleaning and his community service, I would be happy for him to contribute to our special city in just that way.
Hooray!
Violet said.
And I know just the place for it.
A month passed by quickly, and Ollie did hold up his end of the deal. He scrubbed clean all the buildings he had painted with graffiti and volunteered at each location to make up for what he had done. As it turned out, the more Ollie volunteered, the more new friends he made around the city. Soon he felt like he belonged in Aquamarina. Ollie was thrilled when Mayor Vespera and Violet offered to let him paint a giant mural of the solar system in the newly redone sandboarding park. The mural was complete with many black holes, or, as Wally continued to call them, big black blobs. On the day of the unveiling, the park was packed with sea creatures. All of Ollie's new friends, even Gil, turned out to see his artwork. There were food trucks, newspaper reporters, photographers, and even a DJ booth run by Principal Martin. When everyone had gathered, Mayor Vespera gave the signal. Ollie pulled a giant curtain away, revealing his painting. The mural was magnificent, and everyone gave him a huge round of applause. Principal Martin called Ollie over to say a few words.
Thanks for coming out today, he said to the crowd. None of this would have been possible without my friends Violet and Wally. I can't thank them enough for being so good to me, and for helping me express myself in a way that everyone can enjoy.
Violet and Wally beamed proudly.
Moving here has been quite an adventure, Ollie went on. But thanks to them, and all of you, I now feel like I have a real home. That's what friends are for, Ollie,
Violet said with a warm smile. Suddenly, a loud crackling sound came over the speakers. Violet looked over to see that Gil had just knocked over a speaker while doing a trick on his sandboard.
Oops,
he grinned sheepishly.
Sorry about that.
Principal Martin, Chief Wilson, and Mr. Hans all smacked their foreheads.
Well,
Wally said.
welcome to Aquamarina.
All about murals. At the end of the story, everyone in Aquamarina celebrates Ollie's mural in the skate park. Artists like Ollie have been creating murals for hundreds of years. Some famous murals include Michelangelo's paintings on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel in Vatican City. Mexican painter Diego Rivera was known for his colorful murals, which often told a story. Today you may see murals in museums, parks, or even at your school. Murals are a fun way to help brighten a community and, of course, bring people together.